Set in Canada, the story opens with a young couple searching for a place to camp. At one point, they pass a narrow road almost hidden by bushes, but something makes them turn back and give it a try. That small decision leads them to a breathtaking, quiet spot that feels perfect for a peaceful getaway. They begin to relax and enjoy the calm surroundings. But the peace does not last. In the distance, a group of suspicious men approaches, carrying weapons. The young man walks toward them, possibly thinking it is just a misunderstanding. Instead, everything spirals out of control. The men attack without hesitation, kidnap the woman, and knock the young man unconscious. And from that single violent moment, everything changes. This is 1 Mile Chapter 1. The story then shifts to a teenage girl named Alex, who is competing in a women's soccer tournament. On the sidelines, we meet Danny Beckett, a former Special Forces soldier who also happens to be Alex's father. Their relationship is strained. Growing up, Alex always felt abandoned because Danny chose his military career over being present for his family. After the match, Danny meets his wife, Janine. Unlike Alex, who still holds on to her anger, Janine maintains a steady but distant connection with Danny. She understands that the only way to repair the bond between father and daughter is to give them time together. So she asked Danny to take Alex on a study tour to visit several colleges and help her decide on her future. During that conversation, Danny reveals something unexpected. He has retired from the Special Forces. Janine is shocked. For years, his career meant everything to him, yet now he has chosen to walk away while he is still relatively young. Danny explains that the reason is simple. He no longer wants to miss out on his daughter's life. He knows he has already lost too much time, and now his only goal is to fix what was broken between them. The next day, Danny picks up Alex to begin their college trip. From her expression, it is clear she is not fully comfortable with the idea. She seems awkward, unsure of how to act around a father who has been physically present at times, but emotionally distant for most of her life. Throughout the drive, Danny does his best to lighten the mood. He tries small talk, asking simple questions, hoping to break the ice. But Alex keeps her responses short. Most of the time, she just stares out the window, lost in her own thoughts. They stop at a gas station along the way. Danny makes another attempt to connect, this time bringing up social media. Without thinking much of it, he mentions that while he was deployed overseas, he occasionally watched YouTube to pass the time. Instead of helping, that confession only makes things worse. Alex feels hurt. If he had internet access all that time, why did he never reach out to her? Danny tries to explain himself, but she has no interest in hearing excuses. The tension rises again when Alex suspects that Danny is still carrying a weapon. She asks him to put it away, and he agrees, choosing peace over pride. Soon they arrive at the first college. Danny looks out of place, unsure of how to act. Alex even reminds him not to embarrass her and to show the school that she is serious about being there. When the admissions staff asks about her interests and intended major, Danny falls silent. He knows she plays soccer and does well in some classes, but that is about it. In that moment, it hits him. He does not truly know what his daughter is passionate about. That night, as they rest at a hotel, the truth finally comes out. Alex does not really love soccer the way everyone assumes. Her heart is drawn to art. The next day they visit another campus, but Alex still seems unenthusiastic. Then suddenly she asks Danny to take her to an art school that has caught her attention. She makes it clear that she does not want her mother to know about this detour. They continue driving, going farther than planned. As evening approaches, they realize they need to find a place to stay. Unfortunately, every nearby hotel is fully booked. Danny tries to keep things calm and suggests that if they cannot find a room, they could always camp since they already have the equipment. They stop again to refuel and grab a few supplies. While Danny talks to the cashier about available hotels, Alex heads to the restroom. There she runs into a strange man who behaves inappropriately and makes her uncomfortable. She quickly gets inside and rushes back out, eager to return to her father. Meanwhile, the cashier tells Danny what he has already heard before. On a weekend like this, finding an empty room is almost impossible. She suggests camping instead and quickly sketches a simple map, pointing them toward a nearby site. Danny follows the directions without suspicion. He focuses on the road, making sure they do not get lost. Eventually, their car turns onto a narrow path that looks rarely used. At the end of that road, they find a secluded campsite, quiet and unexpectedly beautiful, almost too perfect to be real. They step out of the car, look around carefully, and begin setting up the tent. Once everything is in place, Alex arranges their belongings inside. Little by little, the atmosphere softens. For the first time on this trip, things feel almost normal. Danny takes that opportunity to get closer to her. Gently, he asks if she would show him some of her artwork. Alex hesitates at first, unsure, but eventually she pulls out a few sketches and paintings. Danny is genuinely amazed. It is the first time he truly sees this side of his daughter, a part of her world he has completely missed. In that quiet moment, he realizes how much he has not known about her. But the calm does not last. While they are gathering firewood, a faint sound echoes from the trees like someone watching them from a distance. Danny immediately goes on alert and throws something toward the noise. There is no response. For a second, he wonders if it is just his imagination. Then he spots movement in the shadows, and not just one figure. Without hesitation, he tells Alex to leave and not look back. Within seconds, everything spirals into chaos. Their car is gone. The strangers attempt to grab Alex. Danny reacts instantly, attacking to protect his daughter. They run deep into the forest, desperate to put as much distance as possible between them and their pursuers. Eventually, they take shelter inside a cave. In the darkness, Alex accidentally notices a human skull and panics. Danny quickly covers her mouth to keep them from being heard. In the middle of that fear, Alex feels guilty. She remembers insisting that Danny leave his weapon behind in the car, and now they have nothing to defend themselves with, Danny reassures her. This is not her fault. What matters now is survival and finding a way out of the forest. They move again, pushing through the dense woods. Drawing on his military training, Danny stays calm and studies their surroundings. He leads Alex toward a railway track, hoping it might guide them back to civilization. From a distance, they notice an old van that looks abandoned and possibly used as a shelter. Danny approaches slowly, scanning the area to make sure it is safe. He hopes to find tools or anything that could help them, but the moment the van door opens, the attackers return and charge at them. Danny fights with everything he has. This time, Alex also joins in, doing whatever she can to help. They manage to take down a few men, but more keep coming. Then Danny faces a massive opponent, a man with overwhelming strength. For a moment, Danny struggles and nearly loses control of the fight. But through experience and quick thinking, he turns the situation around and finally brings the man down. They run again. During the escape, Alex falls and twists her ankle. She is in pain, but the emotional shock hits even harder. She has just witnessed her father killing people right in front of her. Danny pulls her into an embrace and reminds her that everything he does is for her safety. On the other side, the kidnappers are furious. Several of their men have been killed by Danny. For a brief moment, they consider calling off the hunt. But they know returning empty-handed is not an option. If they fail to bring Alex back, their leader will not forgive them. Meanwhile, Danny and Alex take shelter in a cave near the river. They decide to stay there for the night, eating whatever little food they have to regain some strength. In the quiet darkness, Danny finally opens up about his past. He talks about his final mission in a conflict zone. He wanted to save trapped civilians, but his commanding officer strictly refused. That clash of principles led to a serious argument. From that point on, Danny felt his conscience no longer aligned with his duty. That was when he chose to retire, walking away from the career he had spent his life building. With a heavy heart, he admits that during all those years of service, he never truly tried to stay in touch with Alex. He knows he failed to be the father she needed. After everything that has happened, he promises himself that he will do whatever it takes to protect her. Morning comes. Alex wakes up and steps away briefly to relieve herself. Danny reminds her not to go too far, but neither of them realizes that the hunters are already closing in. As Alex looks for a safe spot, she spots the same figures who chased them the day before. At almost the same moment, Danny is attacked from behind. A brutal fight breaks out. His opponent is powerful, pushing Danny close to his limit, but with the last of his strength, he manages to overpower and disable the man. Alex rushes back, and they run into the forest once again. This time, they hit a dead end. In front of them lies a deep ravine, divided by a rushing river below. There is no time to think. Danny tells Alex they have to jump. She is terrified, her body shaking with fear. But he keeps encouraging her, convinced they can survive if they leap together. Finally, they make the jump. They plunge into the river and somehow survive the fall. But the danger is far from over. From above, the kidnappers fire arrows at them. Danny and Alex swim with everything they have, diving underwater whenever they can to avoid being hit. After a long struggle, they finally reach the riverbank. But the moment they climb out, they are surrounded. The men seize Alex immediately. Danny tries to fight back, but this time their leader, Stanley, steps forward and threatens to shoot if Danny makes another move. Before he can react, Danny is struck hard and knocked unconscious. Alex screams as she watches her father beaten mercilessly. She begs them to stop, but no one listens. Helpless and barely conscious, Danny is then thrown back into the river.
Get her out of here.
A few moments later, barely conscious in the water, Danny remembers Janine's words telling him to protect Alex no matter what happens. That memory sparks something inside him. He forces himself awake, struggles toward the riverbank, and checks the wound on his head. It is painful but not fatal. Breathing heavily, Danny retraces what just happened. He studies the ground near the river, calming his mind, then begins following the tracks left behind by the kidnappers. At the same time, Alex is taken to a remote house. Inside, she meets another woman, who turns out to be a victim of Stanley's group as well. The woman looks defeated, convinced there is no escape, and believes Alex should accept her fate. Soon after, Stanley arrives. Calm but intimidating, he assures that Alex will not be harmed. Then he reveals his true intention. He plans to use her to continue his bloodline. According to him, his tribe is on the verge of extinction because the women in his region can no longer reproduce properly. But Alex refuses to submit. She takes advantage of a brief distraction, attacks Stanley, and runs as fast as she can.
Let her go!
Meanwhile, Danny reaches the settlement where Stanley's men are gathered. He observes carefully, waiting for the right moment. When the opportunity comes, he strikes without hesitation. One by one, Stanley's men are taken down, and the fight quickly turns brutal. At the same time, Alex keeps running, only to realize the terrible truth. The place is a remote island, completely surrounded by the sea. There is no obvious way out. Overwhelmed, she breaks down, feeling trapped in a hostile and unfamiliar world. Back at the settlement, Danny captures several of Stanley's men and forces them to reveal Alex's location. Instead of cooperating, they mock him, claiming he will never see his daughter again. Rage builds inside Danny. He injures one of them to pressure the others. When they continue to stay silent and even insult Alex, he loses control and pushes harder. Eventually, one of them gives in and admits that Alex is on an island. The information is still vague, so Danny presses further. Soon the truth comes out. Alex is meant to be used to bear children and secure Stanley's lineage. Hearing that, Danny immediately contacts Stanley. He makes sure Alex is still alive. Then he delivers a clear warning. Stanley's own son is in Danny's custody, and if anything happens to Alex, there will be consequences. The threat shakes Stanley. He knows Danny is not bluffing. Danny demands that Stanley come personally and bring Alex if he wants his son to remain unharmed. Not long after, Stanley arrives with his men at the agreed location. Danny is already prepared, fully aware that a major confrontation is almost inevitable. Finally, the two sides face each other. Stanley orders his men to stay outside while he steps forward with Alex. The tension is thick. Danny and Stanley stand at gunpoint, each ready to act the second the agreement is broken. Danny cannot comprehend the twisted logic behind Stanley's actions. But Stanley sees himself differently. He blames the pollution from chemical factories in his region, claiming it has left the women there unable to give birth safely. In his mind, abducting women from outside is the only way to keep his tribe from disappearing. After a long and suffocating standoff, Stanley finally hands Alex over to Danny. At the same time, he confirms that his own son is still alive. For a brief moment, it looks like the exchange is going exactly as planned. But behind Danny's back, Stanley secretly signals his men to get ready. He never truly intended to let Alex go. What Stanley does not realize is that Danny expected betrayal. The instant the atmosphere shifts, Danny makes the first move. A brutal fight erupts. Despite his age, Stanley proves to be incredibly strong and resilient. Danny struggles, nearly collapsing more than once. Still, fueled by determination and the promise he made to protect his daughter, Danny keeps pushing forward. He manages to turn the tide, even taking on Stanley and his son at the same time. Soon, more of Stanley's men rush in. Without hesitation, Danny pulls Alex into a room he had prepared earlier. Seconds later, a massive explosion rips through the building. Fire and smoke engulf the area, killing Stanley and his men. It becomes clear that Danny had planned this trap from the very beginning. Everything unfolded exactly as he intended. Surrounded by debris and fading smoke, Danny holds Alex tightly, relieved. He has kept his promise to Janine to protect their daughter at all costs. Time passes. Alex is accepted into an art college, finally pursuing the dream she once kept hidden. Janine may have hoped for a different path at first, but she comes to understand that Alex's future must be shaped by her own passion and talent. As a mother, Janine feels the sadness of letting her daughter go, but she is also proud, watching Alex grow into someone stronger and more confident. Most importantly, the bond between Alex and Danny is now stronger than ever. But there is one thing they do not know. Beneath the rubble and the flames of that night, Stanley survived. Scarred and burned, he waits patiently for his chance at revenge. So the moral of the story is, if your dad is a retired Special Forces soldier and suggests camping in the middle of nowhere, Just say yes, bring snacks, and maybe don't make him leave his weapon in the car next time.